Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 207. Weekly we'll get together, we talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brand, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we have to talk about how it sounds like Anthem might be getting rebooted. I'm actually kind of excited for it. 2K Studios gets 2K Games rather gets a couple of rebranded studios, and System Shock 3 is effectively dead because somehow Starbreeze found a way to fuck me with all the restructuring going on. But first, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching here live at Twitch TV /GamePoints Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here at Twitch TV /GamePoints, or later over at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to join the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns, etc. Just try to keep it germane to the conversation if possible.
I love germane.
That's a good word. I like that word.
Fun.
I've been trying to roll it
Hey,
out.
Frank.
Hey, Salty Frank, thank you for showing up into the chat. Truly appreciated. Let's go ahead and just jump right into this one here, David, and talk about this weird possible Anthem 2.0. So
I feel like we've all kind of expected it.
Right. This kind of also...
Actually, no. It was 50-50. Half of us expected it. The other half said, that game's going out to die. We'll never hear from them again.
Right. Well, before I read the blog post posted on Bioware by Casey Hudson, who's essentially the head of the studio, Jason Schreier did leak this information back in November. I want to say he said, hey, Anthem's going to be going quiet and rebranding. So this more or less is just them officially confirming what he said 4 months ago, I believe, because it's Jason Schreier and he hears everything. So,
yeah.
To the blog post itself, I'll be reading it in its entirety. Bear with me. Hey everyone. 1 year ago, we were preparing to launch Anthem, a game that represented a big leap into new territory for us as a studio. It was an exhilarating and terrifying experience to go out into the world of something new and different, and we are grateful to all the players who have come along with us on the journey. It has been a thrill for us to see the creativity of our players in designing customized javelins, watching the Master Anthems flying and fighting gameplay. I am so proud of the work the team has put into this game, and at the same time there's so much more that we, and you, would have wanted from it. Over the last year, the team has worked hard to improve stability, performance, and general quality of life while delivering 3 seasons of new content and features. We have also heard your feedback that Anthem needs more satisfying loot experience, better long-term progression, and a more fulfilling end game. So we recognize that there's still more fundamental work to be done to bring out the full potential of the experience, and we require a more substantial reinvention than an update or expansion. Over the coming months, we'll be focusing on a longer-term redesign of the experience, specifically working to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression of meaningful rewards, while preserving the fun of flying and fighting in a vast science fiction setting. And to do that properly, we'll be doing something we would like to have done the first time around, giving a focused team the time to test and iterate, focusing on gameplay first. Meanwhile, we will continue to run the current version of Anthem, but move away from full seasons as the team works toward the future of Anthem. We'll keep the game going with events, story refreshes, and revisiting past seasonal and Cataclysm content, starting with our anniversary toward the end of the month. Creating new worlds is central to our studio, but it's not easy. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we miss. What keeps us going is the support from players like you. Your feedback gives us the guidance on how we can improve, and your passion inspires us with courage to create. I look forward to working together with your involvement and feedback towards the best possible future for Anthem. Signed, Casey Hudson. First impressions, David.
I'm so happy I just bought that game for $4. Because I feel like for the longest time, we've been kind of in a disagreement that you've been fairly sure that Anthem is just left out to die and that they're going to just quietly let it just waste away to nothingness, close it, and be done with it.
That accurately sums up my thoughts on what they were going to do with the game.
And I've just been the almost like completely hopeless optimist about it because of how many like amazing swan song turnarounds we've had with games in recent years. I mean, obviously, I don't love what No Man's Sky has become, but a lot of people enjoy that. I'll bring that up because Frank was just talking about it. Final Fantasy 14, Diablo 3. Like, there's games that had really bad launches, even worse than Anthem. Now, the player count, I think, had a similar drop to some of those like really, really bad ones. But the team worked on it slowly, and they had big, giant updates and the games became huge. So there's always that possibility that there's a team there that can work on it. And I know the Austin studio is just losing members nonstop, but I still think Anthem has the core bones of what could be a good video game. And I really want them to keep working on it. Not that I assume they will, or I assume that it's going to release and it's going to be amazing and it's going to change everybody's mind. It's that I hope for that. Because at the end of the day, this is a bunch of people, despite what EA is doing to run the studio and what they're telling all the actual devs, there's a bunch of people that actually believe in this video game, that are trying to make it a playable, fun video game for people. And those are the guys I want to, I want to hang out with. I want to believe in those guys.
This is a little surprising to me because, like you mentioned, I was of the camp of saying that EA is just going to forget this. It's going to be all hands on Dragon Age 4, and this will just quietly go away. I do have a couple. You say you're the eternal optimist. I am the eternal pessimist on this one because there are a couple things that I noticed weren't mentioned on here. One, no idea of when this might actually come out. So the Anthem 2.0, for lack of a better word, could come out after Dragon Age 4 drops, which who knows how long that's gone. Like you mentioned, BioWare Austin specifically has just hemorrhaged staff. A lot of people pieced out and moved on to other local areas. There's no word on story getting redone, which when I hear BioWare, I think it should be an amazing story, and Anthem did not have that one. Even if you loved everything else, you have to admit the story on that was kind of whack. I will say one thing that I really did enjoy about Anthem, and it's what we've touched on multiple times, is that if you sit down and play it for your first 15 minutes ever, that gameplay is damn fun.
Yeah. Like hopping in the javelin and flying around the environments, and the environments look amazing, and just like shooting things from above and getting into fights, it's cool. There's almost nothing to do after you've done that for the first 20 minutes.
It's the fruit stripe gum of video games. You get this amazing burst of flavor for a few seconds, and then it's just bland afterwards.
The problem is that you don't have the option of just throwing more and more sticks in your mouth to make it work, because there's nothing else really there. Like the first time I did a stronghold, that was fucking awesome. Like in the beta that we played, and we did the stronghold, and I was like, this is cool. I'm actually excited for this. And then we found out that there was going to be 3 of those in the full release, and we had already played one of them.
And the other one was just the last mission of the campaign replayed over and over again. Salty Frank in chat says he'd imagine they'd have some progress towards 2.0 if they made an announcement about it. You'd have to think so, right?
They probably, hopefully they figured out something, or they actually have like a guideline. Because if you remember, they didn't even know what the fuck this game was going to be until that E3 presentation. Right.
I think that this statement, David, is them coming out and letting us know without saying as much that, hey, we are going quiet on this for months.
Yes.
I think they're going to pull a Hello Games
We're going to
stop
doing this baby step stuff. We're not going to release a little tiny content update and hope that people like it. We're back to the drawing board, and we are going to work to make this a video game that people want to play.
Yeah. Unlike Fallout 76, which they could reboot that, and I'd probably never go back to that. Anthem, if they said, here's Anthem 2.0, here's all this extra shit, I would strongly consider giving Anthem another look. Because my time with it, for like that first hour to 90 minutes, was a blast. I really liked it. And I would love to see them actually make something good out of that.
Yeah, I'm also definitely with you, Frank. EA's new guidelines should be, instead of no mention of Warframe, just clone it as much as possible.
Hey, I'm one of the people that actually played Warframe when it first came out, I want to say in 2013. I have
more hours in Warframe than I do in any other video game on Steam.
I was able to get into like its beta. I was able to get into it that early. And Warframe then, I thought sucked ass.
Yeah,
but
Warframe
they stuck with it.
Was a game that wasn't super fun. No. That's just been iterated and iterated and iterated for 7 years.
Yeah, and they made something damn good out of it. I saw an article recently. Sometimes games can be made into good games. I saw an article recently talking about Star Trek Online, of all goddamn things. That game's still around. 10 years into it. I took a look at it recently. The ground combat still sucks, but that space combat's real fucking fun.
Yeah, I actually liked Star Trek Online. I just have the eternal MMO problem of I can play until like level 20 or level 30, and then as soon as guy that looks like last guy I talked to in a different place gives me the exact same mission with something that's a slightly different color than the thing I did earlier, I'm out.
You're out. Understandable. So yeah, I do think that if given enough time, they can make something good of Anthem. I just didn't think EA was going to give them the time.
I mean, EA is notorious as being the studio that shuts down the studios that don't perform, but they did everything in their power to make sure that that studio didn't perform because of the way they run studios.
I will still stand by my statement that if Dragon Age 4 bombs, it doesn't matter if they're rebooting Anthem or not. BioWare's gone.
Yeah, for sure.
I will still stand by that statement because they have already been given 2 more grace periods than so many other EA studios have with both Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't care if how much money. Eventually, someone at EA is going to pull the plug on them. So we'll see how that shakes out. And when do you think we'll see a potential Anthem 2.0?
Q1 next year.
You think they'll have it done in a year?
I think that will be the first major milestone update.
How long did it take No Man's Sky to do its big re-release, for lack of a better word?
18 months.
Okay, so that was a year and a half. So it's a give and take.
Then,
they're a smaller studio.
Update, I thought was just okay, whatever. And then a year later, we got another one.
Right. It's a smaller studio, but they didn't have to also work with a huge, major blockbuster game like Dragon Age 4 would inevitably be.
Yes. And they had the advantage. Well, I don't know if you... Fuck. I don't want to say it's an advantage, but they weren't working on Frostbite.
Yeah.
Which is notoriously a huge dick to work with.
Yes. Let us know what you guys think about this potential Anthem 2.0. Would you give Anthem another shot if they revamped it, if they actually put in some features you were looking for?
I'm already on board for this. I bought Anthem. I did not buy Anthem when it came out.
You bought it for $4.
No reason to. I bought it for $4 on the hopes that maybe someday this will be a game that I can play and I'll have fun with, because I already know a bunch of people that own it that got it for free with a graphics card or whatever. That just no one touches it. I'm like, oh, I will hold on to this. Worst case, I missed out on buying a coffee for a day. But if best case, there's a video game in here somewhere that I get to play eventually.
I don't see EA doing this, but I think the best move for them were to release Anthem with a Guild Wars 2 style freemium economy, but make Anthem itself free.
I mean, who knows?
And if you paid for it, if you actually spent money on it, you will get X amount of Anthem bucks or whatever it is.
By the time they fix it, they might just go the Destiny 2 route. Here's new content that we have behind DLC walls, and the base game, whatever that eventually is just something you can play.
That's actually probably closer to what they will do. Here is the base game you can play up until the last, I think, 2 expansion packs or whatever it is. If you want those expansion packs or seasons or whatever.
If you want to get into super end game, you got to get this DLC and blah blah blah.
I can see them also doing something along those lines, and they would probably, EA, if they were smart, if they want to show goodwill, would give people who actually bought Anthem the first year of that for free. The first year of content.
The biggest thing they need to do, and Salty Frank kind of touched on this, is instead of ignoring every other service game in the world and pretending that they're doing their own new unique thing, is actually bother to do some fucking research and learn something from all these other games that already exist, that have been around.
Agreed.
Look at what The Division did. Look at what Destiny did. Look at what Warframe did.
Don't be afraid to talk about these fucking games and act like they don't exist.
Yeah.
That's the hubris that I think is what led to this bullshit. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're BioWare. We can do better than that. We don't need to mention them. They're not our competition. Yeah, you're right. They're not competing with you at all.
Yeah, because you're not competing with anybody. Because you're a fucking joke.
David?
Yes.
Anthem, I think's future might be potentially bright. We'll see how it shakes out. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic here, and it's a whole collection of Ubisoft news. Now, I'm going to do the first half of this. You can do the second half, but I want to do the first half of this because it involves what I got to go see a couple weeks ago down in San Francisco.
Ah, your sneaky SF trip.
Yes. Announced today was the expansion pack for the Division 2 Warlords of New York. Now, as I said earlier, I was invited down by Ubisoft to play this in San Francisco for about 90 minutes or so I got an idea of what's going on here. I am not the biggest Division 2 guy, but I did play through it. You and I played a couple bit of it. I think I got much farther than you did.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I level capped out. I got to World Tier 5. I did the raid once. When the raid came out is roughly when I stopped. But they have been still supporting the game. They've been doing the first year DLC seasons, the third episode of which I believe comes out at the end of this month. So if you have that Ubisoft Pass, or whatever the hell they call it, you'll be able to play that soon. In Warlords of New York, they have a bunch of new stuff coming. The level cap, first of all, is getting boosted from 30 to 40. If you're not at level 30, there will be a booster to get you up there because you're going back to New York and it is endgame content. So you're going to have to be World Tier 5, which I know means nothing to people who don't play the Division, but if you do play Division, you know what I'm talking about. So you would have had to have done all the base game stuff, essentially, to get to here. There's going to be 4 zones, all named. It's stuff I don't remember off the top of my head, sorry. 4 new skills: decoy, sticky bomb launcher, shotgun. I think the sticky bomb launcher is actually from the first Division. And there's a 4th one, which I did not get to see, so I don't know if they're keeping it close to their chest or I somehow missed it. And you're finally hunting for Aaron Keener. He's the focus of this expansion. Now, for people who have played the Division since the very first one, Aaron Keener has kind of been like the behind-the-scenes boogeyman manipulating everything. He was a first-wave Division agent that went rogue. He ended up teaming up with the Last Man Battalion. He kind of had some hand in some of the events that went down in DC as well. So it's good to finally, after close to 4 years, because I believe the first Division came out in 2016, to get some hopeful resolution on this guy's plotline, because you've been chasing him for that goddamn long.
I mean, I haven't, but people have.
People who play the Division have been chasing that long. I do have some reservations out the gate about it, mainly because it feels a little bit of old hat content from what I've seen. Now, I've only played it for 90 minutes, so there could be other stuff in here. But they're literally going back to a city they've been before, New York. I'd much rather have seen them go to, like, say, Chicago or San Francisco.
Somewhere just completely new, yeah.
Fuck, even London or Berlin, to see how the rest of the world has been dealing with this play, because it's worldwide. I would like to actually get out of America every now and then. And on top of that, the 2 gangs that you're fighting, you know how the Division 1 and 2 had various gangs. Like in the Division 2, which is what you played, they had...
whatever the bad guys, then the other
yeah,
bad
I don't
guys,
remember their
then
names
the
off
other
the top of
bad
my
guys,
head.
Yeah.
Here, they're bringing back gangs from the first Division, specifically the Rikers and the Cleaners.
Which makes sense because they were already in New York. So
yes.
They would still be in New York.
But it gives the entire expansion air of being reused content.
Yeah, it feels like it's more Division 1.
Right. And to add a little bit of insult to injury, they are charging $30 for this fucking thing.
Yep.
It is a paid expansion.
Who knows how big this chunk of New York is? Who knows how much content's in it?
It looks like there is probably 5 main missions total. I did the first one, and it took me about 90 minutes. Now, that's not counting all the audio logs you get to track down and find. That's not counting all the new events. That's not counting all the seasonal shit that's happening in New York City. That's not counting all the sub-stuff that can be happening on those maps. Because you remember playing through Division 2, there was a lot of shit to do on that map.
Yeah, it was very dense.
Yeah. But the main story beats themselves look to comprise of 5 main missions. So it's like a section of a faction in Division 2. It's like when you were going to take out the outcasts. Let's say you started the first mission of the outcasts all the way to their final base. That's probably the amount of time you're looking at to finish Division 2. Based on nothing but speculation. Don't hold me to that. But if I had to venture a guess, I would say that. David, is this enough to get you back into Division 2, or does this game still kind of fall into that category that you were mentioning of the MMO problem, where they started just giving you the same quest over and over again?
Yeah, because as far as I am concerned, I beat the Division. I cleared the whole map, I killed all the bad guys, and then the map resets and all the bad guys come back. And that's what fucking happens. And
And
it's like, look, I
you
can go do
don't
all
have
the...
that need to treadmill up the to ride the gear treadmill to get better and better stuff.
I don't, because the game is fun with people, but moment to moment gameplay, I wouldn't play that game by myself.
Okay. So where do you fall on games like Grim Dawn and Diablo? Because you love those games.
I do.
Do you
And
only
it's
play them once and you're done?
well, it depends. A lot of times if I'm playing by myself, yeah, I'll play it once, I'll beat it, I'll be done. But if there's people playing it and I know someone who's like starting a game, then I'll hop in and go back in for fun because I enjoy playing with people.
All right, just out of curiosity, because I know that we were at one time playing through Grim Dawn recently, and yeah, you were going through content over and over and over again that you saw before.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's a million video games that do that, right?
Right.
It's just part of the thing. The action RPGs, I feel, have an easier time getting me to keep coming back as opposed to like a third-person shooter. Warframe is a whole other animal because it's got there's so much crap in that game that's different than what you've been doing already, and that game is so outrageously grindy when it wants to be. But there's always a million completely different things you can be doing, as opposed to, I'm going to take this mission, I'm going to go shoot these guys, and then I'm going to hope for a drop. Okay, I'm going to take this mission, I'm going to go shoot those guys, and I'm going to hope for a drop.
Right. And I'm not saying that's a bad way to play or anything like that either. I do the same thing essentially with Monster Hunter. I see everything, and then I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I don't need to grind my rank up to 100 or anything like that.
You've definitely not seen everything.
I know for a fact I have not seen everything yet. But that's during the base Monster Hunter game, before the Iceborne expansion came out, I did see everything. And I went, okay, I'm done. Yeah. Don't need to play this anymore. Same idea, I think.
Yeah. If you don't love the gameplay, then it's easy to bounce off those games.
Right. We do have some more Ubisoft things to talk about, so why don't you go ahead and take the rest of this topic off my hands.
Continuing on the Ubisoft train, Ubisoft will be launching 5 AAA games between April 2020 and March 2021. So, the next fiscal year. Although I don't think they pay that much attention to fiscal years. Including Watch Dogs Legion, Gods and Monsters, and Rainbow Six Quarantine. The other 2 are from Ubisoft's biggest franchises, and this is a tweet from Shinobi602, he's
an insider. He knows.
He's
a man who knows what to know.
Yeah. From Jason Schreier, who also knows things. Anyone holding out hope for a Splinter Cell is once again going to be disappointed because those last 2 games are 99% likely to be Assassin's Creed and Far Cry.
I have also. I mean, I may or may not have heard that is also going to be Assassin's Creed or Far Cry.
What else would they be working on? They're not going to.
I won't go so far as to say I've had them personally confirmed to me, but yeah.
But it's Ubisoft. They're working on Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. Like, that's not a stretch for anybody's imagination. Right. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is not part of Ubisoft's plans for the next fiscal year, so don't expect that to be out anytime before April of 2021. So that is still very much in the works. We don't know.
That game's literally been in development for over 10 fucking years.
Except for it hasn't.
No. But I remember they fucking teased it with that trailer with the pig guy and Jade sitting on that trailer again. I remember seeing that before 2008 because it was still when I was working at Game
completely different video game from what that was. The most recent reboot of this, I think, started when the Joseph Gordon-Levitt came out with Hit Record on the E3 stage.
Oh, yeah.
And he talked about how his little pet project is going to be working on some of the music, and then there was that whole backlash of, you're not paying people, and you're abusing the industry, and
a fucking stupid backlash, in my opinion.
Well, because he's kind of got his whole own thing going, and it's not for 100% of the content. It's for 8% of the content. So, it's their whole old thing. But you will have to wait even longer for BG&E 2. And then in an earning call, they discussed their Q3 results. CEO Yves Guillemot was asked by an investor on whether or not the game was part of Ubisoft's plan next fiscal year, and he replied, "It's not going to be in the 5 games we will announce."
That's essentially 100% stating this is not coming this year.
That's our confirmation for BG&E 2.
Dr. Frank says in chat, side note related to Ubi, they dropped the name for the next season of Siege, and I think it's called Void Edge. I thought it was Quarantine. Is Quarantine its own standalone thing, or?
I have no idea.
I don't play Rainbow Six Siege. I have played it once or twice, and the last game I played, I accidentally shot my own teammate in the head because I thought I was healing them. So,
Dude, I actually really like Siege. I
it's
think
it's a solid
quite
game.
enjoyable.
It is a solid game. So, a couple things to note. One, Gods and Monsters. That's that really stylistic Greek game, and it looks really fucking cool. Super excited to get into that. Two, what the fuck happened to Skull and Bones?
Dude, that game is not coming out anytime soon.
Because I remember that all this stuff was.
They got beat by what? Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, but I don't think Skull and Bones was ever meant to be a Sea of Thieves like game. I think it was just meant to be online.
It was just we got two pirate game announcements at the exact same time, and one of them came out, and the other one is just missing.
Like, that game has just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Kind of.
Also important to note, all this stuff, I don't know about Gods of Launches, but Legion and Rainbow Six Quarantine would have been released by now if it wasn't for the fact that Ghost Recon Breakpoint, whatever their newest one was, that had Shane from The Walking Dead in it, just flopped so fucking hard they delayed everything. So, yeah. And for people who are all holding up hopes for Splinter Cell,
no, it's not gonna happen. Also, Quarantine is a completely different game.
The thing is,
just so you know,
what was that?
Quarantine is a completely different game. It's not related to Siege.
Really?
Yeah, it's a new game in the franchise that's set several years in the future in Rainbow Six, and there's like an outbreak, and you play as like operators. It's got co-op. You're basically
that's how out of touch I am with that franchise now. I fucking swore Quarantine was like a season update for Siege.
No, it's a PvE shooter.
Huh. I'm a little bit more interested in that now.
Huh, right?
I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, back to Splinter Cell. I am 100% certain, based on no evidence at all, that they are working on Splinter Cell, and I think that Ubisoft knows that since this franchise is so loved and been so dormant for so long, that they have to fucking nail it out the gate, or it could kill that franchise.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why they're taking their sweet-ass time with it, and I think it's going to be one of those things that when they announce it, it'll come out within 6 months.
Ready to go. Yeah. 3 months. Yeah.
I'm convinced that is what it is. I have no... I'm close with Ubisoft, but I have no inside information on this one. But that is just my gut feeling on why Splinter Cell seems to be like talked about all the time. Fuck, they teased it in Wildlands even, but nothing ever seems to come from it, because I think they're 100% ride or die to make sure that that game is as perfect as humanly possible, and it's probably a next gen game.
Although, speaking of gut feelings,
fucking A, I hate this next topic. I'm just gonna cut right to the chase.
I'm gonna let you lead it because it's soul crushing for you, right?
Yeah, System Shock 3 is effectively dead, and I am so fucking pissed off. This is from VideoGameChronicle.com, but it's being reported by everyone's taking this and running with it, so this is probably true, despite being filled with anonymous sources. From the article. The System Shock 3 development team has been let go, it's been claimed, as several senior leads confirmed they've departed developer Otherside Entertainment. System Shock 3's writer and director, lead programmer, design director, and more have all confirmed their exit from Otherside in the past 5 months following the company's year-long search for a new publisher. But according to one anonymous developer, the entire team is now no longer employed by Otherside. So it's not just those people, it's fucking everyone.
All of them are gone.
In February,
they're a studio with no employees.
In February,
means that no one is working on it.
In February 2019, System Shock 3's then publisher Starbreeze, which was experiencing financial trouble, sold the publishing rights back to the developer in a deal which saw Starbreeze recoup the finances it had invested during development. David, when we talked about Starbreeze's problems, I had no idea this was going to fuck me on such a personal level, because System Shock 2 is the greatest game of all time.
We were worried when Starbreeze just completely shot themselves in the foot, and there was just like story after story of all this crazy bullshit that studio was doing.
Speaking of, Starbreeze executive was convicted today, I believe, of insider trading. Like, he was charged with it a couple months ago. He's been officially convicted of it. So that company was fucked.
Yeah, for sure.
But goddamn, did I not foresee this actually happening. I thought someone would come in and pick it up. Back to the article. The game's creative director, Warren Spector, told VGC in May of the same year that talks were progressing with a lot of interested publishers. He claimed that Otherside had enough capital to fund itself for quite a while and didn't rule out the studio self-publishing the game if it had to. This week, the game's designer, Chase Jones, a longtime collaborator of Spectre, also revealed that he left Other Side on his profile. In December 19, the studio's former community manager, Sam Langhot, confirmed that there had been layoffs at the studio and expressed worry for its future. Langhot linked to an anonymous developer post on a site of RPG Codex and confirmed its legitimacy. The anonymous user recently claimed that System Shock 3's development team is no longer employed at Other Side and that it was critically behind in content creation. Langhot later said that the only reason why I'm posting this is because I saw so much confusion about the state of the company and the project. I thought some first-person information would be welcome. Or Langhot didn't write that. The user, the anonymous user wrote that. I want to make sure that he didn't say that. However, Langhot did link to it, and you know it's fucking bad when your social media manager is linking to random goddamn posts online to go, hey, this is what I got.
Yep.
God fucking damn it. I was so excited for this. They brought back Terry Brosses to be the voice of Shodan to keep it going up. It was supposed to continue the plot to the second one. It was supposed to have characters from 1 and 2 in it. And fuck me if Starbreeze just did not somehow fuck me over on this. David, what is it about all the franchises that I love, like, say, Command and Conquer, that get fucking just obliterated into nothing?
Hey, dude, how's that
Don't you fucking
re-release of System Shock 1 coming?
That's apparently doing good. Night Dive Studios is still working on that. They did have that issue where the scope got too fucking big and they dialed it back.
And they completely rebooted it.
But from what I understand, that is actually doing well. They had a demo of it come out not all that long ago, and it played well, which is good because System Shock 1 is very, very... System Shock 2 is still good to go back to. System Shock 1 is very hard to go back to.
That's fair. Yeah, that sucks. I know you're a huge System Shock guy.
I fucking hate this news, and I hate it even more that it's related to Starbreeze, because I remember hearing about that and going, I don't play Payday. It's going to be all right.
Right?
Fuck. God damn it.
Speaking of Payday, that those guys that left Starbreeze, or not Starbreeze, but Overkill, when they should have, and put together GTFO are doing great.
Yeah, that GTFO game is actually really fucking good. We need to get back on doing that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let us know if you're as disappointed as I am about the death of System Shock 3. Hey, they could find a publisher, but
it's
man,
always a possibility. But as it is right now, they're a dev with no team.
Yeah, I doubt that's going to happen.
So
Man,
there's
I'm
no
so
one working
pissed.
on the game.
I am so pissed.
Changing stories, things from 2K Games, 2K Silicon Valley, which was founded by former Sledgehammer boss Michael Condrey, is now called 31st Union, and they have a website up, and trademarks and copyrights and all that other shit. News, in addition, from GameSpot. As part of Take-Two's latest earnings reports, the publisher revealed that 2 of its studios have been working on unannounced games that we'll be hearing more about in the coming months. Developer Hangar 13, the team behind 2016's Mafia 3, Take-Two president Carl Slatkoff wouldn't say exactly what the project is, only that we'll be finding out at some point this year. And then 31st Union is also working on something. We don't know what it is.
Couple things from this. One, Mafia 3 is legitimately one of the best video game stories of all time.
Mafia 3 is great.
The gameplay itself
I see a red door. I want to play it black. Let's go.
God damn, that scene specifically is fucking amazing.
So good.
You just know when the Rolling Stone, that song specifically plays, nothing good ever happens.
Nope.
The climax of that game too, when you're going to the casino and then fucking Sam and Dave start playing, it's so that game uses music very, very well, and it's good. It is a damn good story.
It has a really good soundtrack.
If you were to just cut that map in half, get rid of like the swamp in the bottom, it would be a nice contained experience that is a real good story. Unfortunately, that game suffers a lot of bloat and not great controls, but I would love to see a Mafia 4 from then. As far as the 31st Union goes, David, it's done by Sledgehammer's former lead, so you can imagine it's going to be a shooter of some kind. Sledgehammer Games, of course, being the Call of Duty support studio, along with Infinity Ward and Treyarch. They all kind of just work together now.
The interesting thing, though, is that the fact that they changed to 31st Union in the first place, because Take-Two is kind of notorious as just having all of their studios be 2K wherever.
Yeah, 2K Marin, 2K Chicago.
Like, because they're all kind of under
Vancouver.
the same umbrella, and so they don't really have a huge identity.
Rockstar Vancouver.
So them actually splitting it into a completely different brand, a completely different website, a totally different like dev, more or less, is really interesting to me.
Right.
I think that means that maybe we could get something interesting from them, something maybe a little outside. I mean, obviously, Sledgehammer does lead itself to shooters, but who knows?
I would imagine the 31st Union is also based out of Nevada, because that's where Hangar 13's at. I know for a fact that 31st Union is based somewhere in the Bay Area. There, you go to their website and they got a big old picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. Nevada is a stone's throw away from there specifically. Mm-hmm. And 2K just owns like the former airbase that was there. It's where Toys for Bob is, another 2K owned company, and they just own this series of Air Force X hangars, thus the term Hangar 13 there. May or may not have seen some stuff there in the past.
Also, Take-Two reiterated during its earnings report call that the newly founded Cloud Chamber Studio is very early in the development of a new BioShock game. But that's years away.
That's something they've said before, but this is just them reiterating to shareholders, hey, don't fucking expect a new BioShock game. That's one of those things that will be
It's not coming out this year. We'll work on it. We'll announce it when we have anything, but they're not even throwing up a teaser image.
Yeah, that is a PlayStation 5,
You will play the new
Xbox
Metroid Prime before you play
Series.
another BioShock.
That's a next-gen game. That's going to be a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, whatever they're going to call their thing for sure game.
Xbox X?
The XX. Mm-hmm. Also, don't forget while we're talking about 2K stuff, is that
Dan Houser?
Dan Houser? I said Can Houser. Dan Houser is leaving Rockstar, so don't forget that there's a shakeup going on.
One of the co-founders of Rockstar, who was hugely influential on a lot of big Rockstar projects, is no longer with them.
So speaking of writing, Red Dead Redemption 2, while a game I have yet to finish, has some of the best fucking writing I've ever seen in a video game.
That game is so video gamey. In that they didn't build...
The thing is, I know exactly what you mean when you say that.
They didn't build systems that interact with each other in an organic way to let players like kind of do their own thing. There is just a ridiculous amount of scripted shit in that video game. Like, more than most people will ever reasonably see.
Yeah. And it's real fucking good, though.
And it's all, like...
It's all good.
Amazingly done. Super crazy attention to detail.
One day I will go back and finish it.
Yeah, I really liked playing that game, but the problem is that I have the problem I have with most other open world games, where I get lost in the open part of the world.
Right.
And I have no real urge to blast through the story and, progress in the video game. But of all the open worlds that I've just gotten completely lost in and never finished, RDR2, I think, is one of the worst. Because as soon as I get to where the game kind of opens up a little and you're in like that town at the beginning, and it's like, oh, I can go hunting, I can go fishing, I can go like get pelts and sell them for money and buy new guns, and I just stopped playing that video game and just started
Same here.
Using it as a way to relax.
I have 100+ hours in fucking Red Dead Redemption 2, and I got to essentially their New Orleans city, did nothing there, and did nothing but fucking hunt and fish in that game.
Yeah. I'm probably 20% done with that video game, and I also have a ton of hours in it.
It's at the point too where I've been away from it for so long that if I were to pick that game up again, I would have to start from the beginning.
Ugh, I just can't do it, and that's why I never finish open world games.
Why I'm in the same boat too. David, I want you to go ahead and take this. Salty Frank did the same thing, by the way. I know we're playing on stream and talking about it, but yeah, it's just you get lost in it. Mm-hmm. I want you to take this next story because the last story we talk about it's like my personal project to mention every time something like that happens.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. This story's from Eurogamer, who sometimes talks about video games. Nintendo, this fucking article title. Nintendo fingers rogue reviewer for Pokemon Shield and Sword leaks.
That's hot.
Yeah. So last November, Pokemon Sword and Shield had a series of big leaks in the run-up to the release, and there's a bunch of stuff you can think about. We had a bunch of actual Pokemon, like the Pokedex, the Cup Pokemon, all kinds of crap that we just figured out, and there was a bunch of screenshots and stuff that were out there. Before the game was on store shelves, large swaths of the Pokedex had been posted online with new designs of old favorites available to view on Reddit and everywhere else. Now, in February of this year, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company have issued a statement on the matter. In short, Nintendo wants you to know that it quickly found the culprit behind much of the leaked material, a small Portuguese video game website named F Nintendo, or Nintendo. It has now severed all ties with.
Important to note that it's not short for like fuck Nintendo. It's actually like a fan site.
Yeah. And these fans, or one in particular, was given some access, and they had written an article. But yeah, they leaked a bunch of stuff. So there's no suggestion of legal action between Nintendo and the fan site, but this will serve as a warning ahead of Sword and Shield's upcoming expansions. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company statement follows in full. Please bear with me. It's not too long, but let's go into it. In early November, Nintendo identified a number of photographs taken from gameplay that revealed multiple new and unannounced Pokemon from Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. These photographs have been posted online, and Nintendo, together with the Pokemon Company, quickly identified the person responsible for these leaks and took immediate action. These Pokemon were leaked by a reviewer for the Portuguese website F Nintendo, who had received an early copy of the game for review purposes. Both he and F Nintendo failed to handle confidential material, resulting in a clear breach of the confidentiality agreement between Nintendo and the media outlet. As a result, Nintendo will no longer work with F Nintendo, the fan site. Nintendo will always protect its intellectual property and brands. Leaks hurt not just Nintendo, but the thousands of employees who work hard to bring games to market, and the millions of fans around the world who look forward to news and surprises. To surprise and delight players through new experiences is a shared passion for Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. We will pursue all avenues to preserve surprises for players of future Pokemon titles. If Nintendo has subsequently posted its own apology, which admits to its reviewer's action, the states it will no longer work with the person responsible. So the guy was fired, but it's way too late because Nintendo just dropped these guys and will never talk to them again. Because if there's one thing Nintendo doesn't do, it's forgive.
Yeah, and this is not just future Pokemon titles.
No,
They are cut off.
Nintendo is notorious for being so like litigious happy and ready to just pull anything. We've had our fucking podcasts pulled off of the internet because back in the day we used to actually post trailers and we would talk through them, and we stopped doing that because even the
became too much
publicly available commercially released Nintendo trailers would cause our videos to get flagged and pulled off of like the YouTube rebroadcasts.
Yeah, it just became too much of a fucking hassle to deal with. So
and it's just because Nintendo refuses to allow any of their content for any reason to exist on the internet without their marketing and branding behind it.
So there's a couple things I wanted to bring up with this story. NDAs, which is what you sign when you get stuff in advance, are extremely fucking common in this industry.
Yes, for sure.
I'm
not saying this guy didn't do something wrong.
Right. You get something that you sign that says, I will not talk about this, I will not post this, I will not hint at this until X dates. And sometimes you can't even mention that you, let's say, for example, like in the case of Nintendo's review date for Pokemon Sword and Shield, sometimes the NDA will say you can't even tell people when your review is going up. So you can't tell people when the review pops. Sometimes they get very, very detailed. I have seen NDAs as simple as 2 paragraphs, and I have seen them, no joke, 25 pages long.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty big ones.
It is rare for a company or for an outlet, a press outlet, to break an NDA. It does happen. Most of the time when it happens, it's completely accidentally. Someone hit 12 a.m. instead of 12 p.m. I think IGN did it recently not recently, but I think they did that with the Final Fantasy 15 release date, for example. I think they leaked it like 12 hours early by mistake because someone literally put in 7 a.m. instead of 7 p.m. or something along those lines. I could be wrong on the outlet, so don't take that as gospel.
Blast them on the internet, everybody. Get them.
And most of the time when that happens, as long as it was like a mistake and not malicious, the company will go, okay, don't ever do that again. If you have a history of doing it, we'll come down on you. Because sometimes there are some legal things attached to this. It's just like, we can sue you for damages, etc. I've never seen anything get too brought up that hard on it. I've never seen like a publisher go to court over an outlet breaking NDA. But there are the possibility of it happening sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo...
If they think you cost them money, they will not hesitate.
Nintendo is extremely protective of their secrets. That is why it is so hard to get leaks out of Nintendo.
Nintendo is this weird whole other entity where they do shit that we would absolutely blast any other major publisher for.
Right.
But Nintendo gets away with it because goodwill and yada yada.
And there are differences between, say, breaking an NDA and doing what Jason Schreier does and report on leaks that came from another source. But this stuff, for the most part, has completely blacklisted Kotaku. They just have. Because
F Nintendo.
Because Jason, no, I'm talking Bethesda.
Oh, Bethesda. Sorry, I missed that.
Has blacklisted Kotaku because Jason Schreier was leaking shit out about Arcane Studios, upcoming Prey. He leaked out the plot to Fallout 4. But this wasn't because he was given a copy of this in advance, signed an NDA, promising not to talk about it, and then went. This is because someone who worked at those studios went to him independently. Yep. This is not what happened here.
This is Nintendo themselves handed this company or this website a review copy of a video game, and the reviewer they handed it to leaked it on the internet in a clear breach of an NDA.
Equally rare is when the publisher, or even more rare, I guess I should say, is when the publisher publicly announces that they did this.
That's actually the craziest part. Is not that it happened or that they had an announcement of we've figured out who's responsible and we won't be working, but like the actual to put these guys
them on blast, and they put them on blast solely as like the article alludes to, as a fucking warning to everyone else.
Yep. Do not cross us or we will come for you.
Yes. And that, I mean, this kills that site. If it's a Nintendo only site, they no longer have access to Nintendo.
Yeah, they're done.
That site is done. They fired the guy who did it. Apparently the guy did it without their permission. He just went behind the back. They don't fucking care.
Yeah. This
company is done, especially if it is only a Nintendo site.
Which sucks.
Don't break NDAs is the long and the short of it here. I mean, I have NDAs that are the most mundane of fucking things. I know not to do it because what happens is that it's a small industry. People fucking talk, and then they go, "Oh yeah, don't tell that guy anything because he'll fucking blab it everywhere."
Mm-hmm.
And once again, to reiterate, this is not the same as when Jason Schreier ruins games by spoiling. I use that term facetiously, but everyone says he cancels games and stuff. When Jason Schreier goes off and talks about,
because he's talking to people completely independently from talking to the major studios.
Right, he is talking to people who are,
and he's not signing a contract stating I'm not allowed to talk about this.
They're sending things anonymously to him, and he can report them all day long that he wants to. Just as Bethesda can choose to blacklist them in response, which I think is a fucking coward move on Bethesda. Get better security on your end, but there it is.
Who gives a shit about Bethesda anyway?
The takeaway from this, though, is that Nintendo is just so public about this. A company that is notoriously private is putting this on blast, as you were saying. That's the impressive thing here. It's like, holy shit. David?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me cue up the music. We
have one more topic. This is going to be adding into our TenCent Watch 2020 because every fucking week there is TenCent news, and this is via GameIndustry.biz. Yager receives strategic investment from TenCent.
Yep.
Yager, the developer of Spec Ops: The Line, and recently...
Fantastic video game, by the way.
Spec Ops: The Line is fantastic, and also Dreadnoughts, that, in my opinion, kind of cool giant capital ship combat game.
I actually really liked that game, and then it just like came out and went.
Yeah. Has received a strategic investment from gaming monolith TenCent. TenCent has invested an undisclosed sum in the Berlin-based developer, which will retain its full independence. So
for now,
that could be as 5% seems to be the standard, but it could be as low as 1% or as high as 49.9%. Because if they're retaining their independence, they probably did not buy a majority stake.
Yep.
David?
Yeah.
What do you think? I know we've talked about TenCent repeatedly, but I want to just kind of reiterate our stances on this.
TenCent is slowly taking over. Although one thing I thought you were going to touch on that I wanted to bring up was the quote from the CEO of Yager.
Okay.
Because he said regarding this whole thing, TenCent is not only the world's leading games company, but also a prolific investor with a stellar track record. were humbled to join the lineup
I
of
missed
Tencent
that. I
partners,
did miss
which
that.
reads like a game industry's who's who.
So here's the thing,
And
David.
that's from Timo Allman, who's the CEO of Yager.
With all due respect to Colin Moriarty, who coined this phrase, I'm going to rip it off from him. Mao money, Mao problems. Because this influx of Chinese money has a massive fucking chilling effect on developers, and you have to look no further than fucking Blizzard and the response to the Blitzchung thing at BlizzCon, and all Tencent owns in Activision is 5%.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker, Jaron
But
Brack,
that
bent
5%
over
means
backwards.
that Blizzard has a partnership with Tencent, and Tencent's responsible for the releasing of all Blizzard mobile titles in China. Period. Full stop.
And look how
Blizzard cannot
much
release
they bent
anything
over backwards
in China without Tencent saying okay.
to keep from offending the fucking oppressive-ass Chinese government.
Mm-hmm. Free Hong Kong.
So, this... I fucking hate that Tencent is just spreading its tentacles everywhere and getting their fingers in all these pies. And it's not like this is some independent company or anything like that. They have direct ties.
Slowly buying up my entire childhood.
I'm fine if this was THQ Nordic, I'd be fine with it because that's a company. But Tencent has direct ties to the Chinese government, and not to get fucking paranoid here or anything like that.
They're also way bigger than just video games.
Yeah. Not to get paranoid, but who knows what they're fucking taking from you when it comes to data collection? Who knows what they're fucking putting in there to fuck with you on the back end?
I mean, it's no worse than Facebook or Google or anybody else. But yeah, dude, it's scarier because it's not Americans, I guess.
No. Google does not fucking intern Muslims in fucking camps and like harvest their organs.
That's very true.
So I do not like Google. They are a damn sight better than the Chinese government.
Yeah. I feel you.
There's a level of acceptable evil I'm kind of willing to accept. and
I mean, with your screen name, I've kind of figured that out a little bit.
And China goes beyond the fucking pale. And to everyone who screams, oh, you hate Tencent because you're racist, because that shit's starting to gain steam. Fuck off. Fuck off with that. The Chinese government's goddamn terrifying. They literally have a blind social credit score that will determine if you get to travel or eat. So fuck off with your fucking moral comparison bullshit trying to carry water for them. God damn it, I hate it when people pull that shit out. But yes, Tencent, yet again, investing in another fucking company in video gaming. God help us all.
This has been GamePoints Tencent Watch 2020.
David.
Yeah.
I am not looking forward to the eventual social credit store that's just going to get implemented in every video game, to where if you don't praise the Chinese government at least twice a month, you don't get to access World of Warcraft anymore.
You're not excited to go on game shows in the future so you can compete for most glorious China Bitcoin units?
That horrible future, while fast approaching, isn't upon us yet.
True that.
So as I spend my last few moments as a free man and not citizen number 287,566, what can I keep myself entertained with?
Do you want to talk about some video games? There's actually some cool shit coming up this week, but we'll get to it. First up is a game called Help Me Doctor, which is coming out on Switch, which has been out on Steam for a while and has really fucking bad reviews. Like, people do not like this video game. It's a casual adventure simulation game. So you play as a doctor, you diagnose payments, you got to deal with documentation and signatures and decide your own ethics and blah, blah, blah. And it plays like a management game.
Okay.
But from what I've read, people just don't like the gameplay, or the management itself is just cumbersome and obtrusive. But if you are obsessed with management games and you really want to be a doctor, play Surgeon Simulator.
Okay.
Also this week, Yakuza 5 hits PS4. Look at that, Yakuza 5. We finally got it. It's only been 8 years since it came out in Japan. And then it was localized for North America, Europe, and Australia as a PlayStation Network game in 2015. So that's, another 5 years before we get it on PS4.
I have missed out on the Yakuza franchise.
Yakuza on the PS4.
And I will one day actually play through these games again. Or play through the games for the first time, I should say.
largely like a mid 2000s action game.
And I kind of am craving that right now.
Yeah. I played Kiwami when they added that to PS4, and I thought the game was pretty fun.
Which one was Kiwami?
It's the remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, of the first one.
Okay.
So, this one is not even the newest one. This is just Yakuza 5 on PS4. But there you go. Fire Emblem Three Houses gets more DLC for Switch this week. I don't think I need to really explain that. If you're into it, you're already into it.
Yeah,
I'm more shit for Three Houses.
Looking forward to this one, but I believe this actually adds a fourth house to the Three Houses game.
That's fucked up. They're going to have to rename it. Glass Masquerade 2 Illusions comes out for Switch this week. This is a casual puzzle, very relaxing game. Sequel to Glass Masquerade, obviously. It's got a 2 in it, which is an artistic puzzle game inspired by stained glass artisans and Wonderland depictions of the 20th century. So you combine glass pieces and try and solve riddles and free yourself from like this weird twisted thing. But it looks really chill. It doesn't look like a high intense, stressful puzzle game, but more of a, I'm just going to sit down and spend an hour just kind of vegging out and like looking at pretty stained glass stuff. More along those.
David.
Yes.
You said because it's called Glass Masquerade 2, it is a sequel to the first one, obviously.
Yeah.
However...
Okay, yeah. I know there's a million fucking video games that fuck this up because Squaresoft is an idiot.
No,
I'm not even counting.
I'm not even going down that.
Bravely Second and Bravely Default 2 right now.
I'm not even going to go down that route. I'm not counting weird names. There is a puzzle game called Luxor 2.
That doesn't have a first one?
Does not exist.
All right.
Because the people who made Luxor 2 realized that sequels sell better, so they named their first game with a 2 at the end of it to make people think that it was already so successful with the first one, they made a second one. So just because they have a 2 at the end of it does not necessarily mean that it is a sequel.
I can't work in marketing. I would just pull my hair out from stress. It's just too much.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite gaming stories, is that Luxor 2 is the only game in that franchise. I love it. Anyway. I love it so much.
Also out this week, Nom Nom Apocalypse comes out for PC.
Now that game sounds amazing.
This game looks actually great. It's a twin stick shooter, which I love as a genre.
Smash TV, baby.
Smash TV, big money.
It's one of the arcade cabinets I legitimately want, is Smash TV.
Dude, I still own Smash TV on Super Nintendo.
It's a good game.
Yeah. It's got kind of like cartoony 3D art. It actually looks pretty good, though. Top-down shooter, roguelite, set in a post-apocalyptic city plagued by mutant food monstrosities.
Okay.
Shoot, dodge, and outlast the plague of greasy beasts and candy creatures that lurk around every unknown corner.
This actually does look fucking good.
It looks super fun. I actually really want to play it. I like twin stick shooters. I kind of always have. It's just a raw arcade game. You run around, you kill stuff, you die, you repeat, you have a good time.
You beat Ted Cruz. You beat Tom Cruise.
Sure. Necronator Dead Wrong comes out this week for PC. It's an indie strategy, kind of like a micro RTS game with a card game thrown in. You collect and deploy undead units to build an army to conquer the insufferably goody two-shoes of the Live More Alliance.
That's cleverly named.
It is quite cleverly named. This game actually looks really fun. People.
This does look. I'm looking at it too. This almost looks like it might be a phone game put over, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, it has that feel to it, but it looks a little bit too polished for that. If that makes any sense to anybody.
It does make sense to me.
Much like twin stick shooters, I am constantly of the opinion that we just need more RTSs in our life. So there you go.
I agree.
Best Time Driver comes out on Switch and PC. This is a ridiculous video game in that it is an indie sim dating game where you raise dogs.
Oh, I have seen this.
You ever wanted to raise a puppy and somehow navigate the mysteries of human dating at the same time? Meet the colorful cast of Rainbow Bay, date a few cuties, and teach a new dog new tricks. It's what's that like old Switch game where you raise puppies, or it was 3DS game? Puppies. Nintendogs? Nintendogs with dating. Nintendo dating. Good enough. Anyway, fuck it. Darksiders Genesis.
Fuck it, you're not gonna buy it.
For Switch and PS4.
This looks fun.
Hell yeah, dude. I like the Darksiders games. I
Yeah.
like the fact that THQ Nordic kind of brought them back to life with like the War Mastered and the Remastered, and Darksiders 3, I think, was a cool game. A Genesis actually takes place before the original, but most importantly, it introduces the fourth and final Horseman Strife. And it has co op gameplay for the first time in the franchise, which can kind of make or break it because, I mean, I don't think co op made Dead Space a better video game.
No,
But
it did. Well,
what do you
here's the thing. If you actually play Dead Space 3 co-op, it's fun, but the problem is you had to find someone to play Dead Space 3 co-op with because playing that game when it's clearly meant for co-op ruins the single player experience. So unless you're dragging someone with you, that game is clearly missing shit.
All right. Anyway, we're about hitting time, so I'm going to get through a few more of these. Dreams comes out for PS4 this week. Hell yeah, finally. If you have no idea what this is from Media Molecule, the same team that put together Little Big Planet, which was a game that, more than being a video game you could play, is a game that you could use to make other video games. The level design and creator and editor in Little Big Planet was always kind of a big deal. People loved that shit. They said, let's just make an entire video game based on making video games as opposed to like a little platformer. And we ended up with Dreams.
I'm really curious to know how well this is going to be.
VR compatible. I have seen so many outrageous projects related to this. Somebody recreated the first level from X-Wing.
That's right, I
did
see
the old
that.
school X-Wing game.
Yeah.
People have remade the intros to Final Fantasy VII. There's so much stuff you can do in Dreams. It looks really cool. It's one of those things that I would absolutely love to play other people's creations, but I would never actually touch the creative tools because I'm just not that guy. But
I want to look at it, but I don't want to pay any money for it.
This looks really fun. I'm actually kind of excited. Railway Empire comes out this week for Switch. This is a strategy train sim game. Everything you think about sim games, but with trains.
There you go.
Snack World, the Dungeon Crawl Gold comes out for Switch. This is a randomly generated RPG dungeon crawler where you can team up with 3 other players in local or online multiplayer to kill stuff. It's got fourth wall breaking RPG with a modern twist. It's actually an older Japanese game that's been remastered, re-released, and it has all of the downloadable content from the original release included in this. That's why it's gold and not something else.
Right.
Street Fighter V Champion Edition comes out for PS4 and PC. It's probably
breaks your
good,
heart, doesn't it?
I'm not a Street Fighter kid. I haven't really been for a very long time. I know a lot of people still love it. And if you were ever going to play Street Fighter V, if you've held on it, this is definitely the one to get. It has basically all of Street Fighter V is in it. It has all 39 characters released, plus a new character, Seth, who's been brought back. It's got like 200 different costumes, a bunch of stages. It's all of Street Fighter V, but it's out now, as opposed to the way they released it kind of slowly. And finally, last, and I don't know, maybe not least, Under Hero comes out for Switch. This is an RPG indie adventure game. It's very cutesy looking, probably not for me. 2D side scroller. It's got timing based combat. I don't know what the fuck that means.
I think people say that to kind of represent things like Dead Cells or Dark Souls or that thing where once your combo's going, you can't just break.
I've always preferred the term weighted combat. That's how I referred to Monster Hunter back in 2006. That's how I referred to Dark Souls when I first played it. That's just when you attack, you are locked in your attacks, and that's how it is. Hugo, welcome.
Dr. Hugo, welcome to chat. Appreciate you showing up again as we're wrapping it up.
You are so late.
Yeah, we are actually finishing up new releases now, which means we are at the end of the show. So you just missed it, Dr. Hugo, but good to have you here.
To sum up, Steven is really mad this week.
Yeah, as always.
He's mad at a bunch of stuff. Anthem might be getting fixed. Division 2 is getting more shit. Ubisoft is doing stuff. A bunch of video games are coming out. Most of them suck.
It's a good summary.
You've been caught up on GamePoints episode, whatever the fuck this one is.
This has been GamePoints episode 207, and if you want to join us live next time, you can do so every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints or later over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC. If you like what you saw here, and I don't know why, and you want to support the show, you can do what streamers want. You guys know what it is. Follows, bits, subs, shares, likes, etc. If you're sitting on that Amazon Prime account and you haven't used that free Twitch sub, I'd appreciate it here. And you can also join the Discord link provided down below to keep up with announcements and reach out to other members of the community. You can follow the show on Twitter at GamePoints PC. You can follow David there at _Satori, and you can follow myself at CapitalistPig21. Once again, thank you all for showing up. This has been GamePoints episode 207. Until next time, we're out of here.